When you think IIT, you immediately think of cracking one of the toughest exams on the planet, right? Well, what if I told you that might be changing? IIT Patna has just dropped something huge, a brand new integrated BBA and MBA program that kind of flips the whole script. So let's dive in and unpack what this is all about. So the first thing that probably makes you go, wait, what? Is the whole structure. An IIT degree from home? Is that even possible? Well, the answer is kind of complicated, but for the most part, yeah, it's a thing. Let's get into the nitty-gritty. Okay, so here's the big news, the official announcement. IIT Patna is rolling out an integrated Bachelor of Business Administration and Master of Business Administration degree. But hold on, this is not your typical show up to campus every day kind of deal. Nope. This has been built from the ground up to be something totally different. They're calling it a hybrid program. So what on earth does hybrid actually mean in this context? Look, it's not just a couple of online classes thrown in. We're talking about the vast majority of your learning, live lectures, Q&A sessions, all that good stuff happening online. But, and this is a really important but, you do have to show up on the IIT Patna campus in person for a few specific mandatory things. Now, how this whole thing is structured is actually based on India's new education policy, the NEP. And this is where it gets super interesting, because the one word you need to remember here is flexibility. The NEP is all about giving students options. And what does that flexibility look like? Well, it means you are not locked in for the full 5 years. Life happens, right? So if your plans change, you can actually exit after just 1 year and still get a certificate. Stick around for 2 years, you walk away with the diploma. Finish 3 years, and bam, you've got a full BBA degree. And of course, if you go the whole 5 years, you get the big prize, the Integrated BBA and MBA. All right, so this is probably the question on everyone's mind, the big one. How do you actually get in? What are the hoops you have to jump through to even be in the running for a spot in this program? Okay, so there are two main things to keep in mind. First up, your academics. You need at least a 60% cumulative score in your 10+2 exams. And listen, the source is really clear on this. It's across all your subjects, not just your best 5. Then there's the age limit, which is actually pretty generous. You just have to be born on or after January 1st, 2001. So that means you can be up to 25 years old and still apply. That's a pretty wide window. And now we get to the part that really, really makes this program different from any other IIT admission process you've ever heard of. Which crazy tough specialized entrance exam do you need to ace to get in? Well, the answer is probably not what you're expecting. Get this, they are casting an incredibly wide net. Got a JEE score from trying for engineering? You're in. A NEET score from a medical path? Yep, you can apply. CUET, BITSAT, state-level entrance exams, even international tests like the SAT? All accepted. They even have their own entrance test if you don't have any of those. I mean, this just blows the doors wide open for students from pretty much any academic background. It's a huge change from the usual way of doing things. Okay, an IIT degree is great, but it's not free. So let's talk about the money. We're going to break down the financials right now so you know exactly what the investment looks like for this program. All right, let's start with the core number. The fee is 69,000 rupees per semester. So you've got 2 semesters in a year, which means you're looking at about 1,38,000 for the whole year. Now remember that flexibility we talked about? Let's say you decide to use one of those exit points. If you stick it out for the 3 years to get that BBA degree, your total cost is going to be 4,14,000 rupees. And for everyone who's in it for the long haul, going the full 5 years for that integrated BBA plus MBA degree, the grand total comes to 6,90,000 rupees. Okay, so we know how it works, we know what it costs, but what's it actually like to be a student in this program? What's the vibe? Let's talk about the mix of online versus on-campus life and the big promises they're making about your career. So the line between your online life and your on-campus life is really clear. Pretty much all of your day-to-day academic stuff, we're talking classes, study groups, even hitting the e-library, it's all done online. But you absolutely have to be there, in person, on the IIT Patna campus for a few really important things. Your end-of-semester exams, some personality development workshops, and of course, the official cultural fest. Now, this next part, this is probably the single biggest claim the program is making, and it's a massive selling point. The official materials promise a 100% internship with placement support. Wow. I mean, that is a huge, huge commitment for any college to make.
But, and you knew there was a but coming, it's super important to know that this promise comes with a little asterisk next to it. The analyst who looked into this pointed out that while the claim is out there, the details behind it, the terms and conditions, the fine print, weren't actually available. So it's a really powerful promise for sure, but it's one you definitely want to dig into a little more.
Okay, so let's put it all together. You've got the flexibility, the costs, this new hybrid model, and these big promises. So what's the final verdict here? If you're thinking about applying, how should you really look at this whole thing? Well, the analysis from our source is pretty balanced. The thinking is, because this program is so new, and because IIT Patna's business courses in the past haven't had the same kind of top-tier reputation as, say, IM Indoor, it probably shouldn't be your absolute number one choice. Instead, it's positioned as an absolutely fantastic backup option. Think of it as a brilliant way to get that prestigious IIT tag on your resume, maybe while you're doing another degree or just as a really, really solid plan B. And that really brings us to the final question. And this one is for you to think about. In today's world, with so many competitive degrees and career paths that are always changing, could this unconventional, super flexible, and way more accessible program from a top-tier IIT, could it be the perfect backup plan that ends up being your absolute best next move?